welcome to Denver today. Let me just take a second to introduce myself and say hello and kind of slow it down. I know the last song was a little funky. I don't know if you were dancing to that. I'm sorry to cut you off. Let me make sure that we are set to jet on all of our fun little buttons. You all know how this works. It's a little complicated, right? This makes it fun, right? Well, hello, and welcome to Denver Today, the show where we break down your local headlines and why they matter, live from KUHS Radio. Today is February 6th. I am your host, Luis Bustos. Feel free to reach out to us through TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook, and of course, give us a follow to stay in the loop on Denver news. Make sure all of the right knobs are down. Okay, there we go. So, we are at KUHS here in Denver. Something sounds a little off. Make sure you have a good listening experience. Let me try to fix that for you. I think we're back. There we go. There we go. There we go. La la. Boom, boom. One mic check. 1, 2, 3. Are we live? Are we listening? Is anyone listening? I am. Okay. Anyway. So, let's talk. Before we get into the show, let me tell you a little bit about what we're going to talk about. I want to open with just a little bit of what's been happening here with the small business crime that's been happening in Denver. It's an interesting little story. Following that, I'm going to give you a update on what is happening here in Denver with ICE, whether it comes to the flock cameras or how our government is cooperating with them or not cooperating with them. Following that, I'm just going to give you a little bit more info on the general crime that's happening in the city. And then we're going to take a little break. We're going to come back and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about events that are happening over this weekend and what you can do to stay entertained for free, or if you want to spend a little money. Valentine's Day is coming up, so we do have a couple things that we're going to bring back to that. So, but with that being said, before we get into the show, I want to say happy Black History Month to all of our followers all across the state and all across the world, all across America. Black History Month is American History Month, okay? And you cannot be a patriot without celebrating it, okay? Let's keep it real. And not patriot in a weird way. Don't be weird about it. Anyway, so this episode is brought to you by Inspire Success Coaching and Consulting. A little bit more about them here in just a few minutes. So let me get into this first story real quick. So, police investigate string of burglaries targeting Hispanic businesses in Denver Metro. Police across the Denver metro area are searching for a group of thieves accused of targeting Hispanic-owned businesses during overnight burglaries. Investigators say at least 6 businesses have been hit, and owners believe the same group may be responsible. Surveillance videos from Denver Cantina shows several suspects breaking in, taking cash and alcohol, and leaving in a dark-colored Jeep. One owner reported losses of around $35,000. Another business owner in the metro area reported several $1,000s in damages and stolen money. Business owners say the incidents have left them feeling unsafe and unable to rest, especially those who often work alone or with family members. Denver, Lakewood, and Commerce City Police Departments are now investigating and working to determine whether the cases are connected. Authorities are asking the public to report any suspicious activity or information that could help identify the suspects. So, why this matters. Regardless of how you feel of the Hispanic community, regardless of what your politics are, I know the world is a complicated place right now. However, small businesses are a major part of Denver's local economy, and repeated burglaries can impact jobs, community safety, and neighborhood trust. It really is that simple. If no small business owner is safe, then nobody is, right? That's how it works. Like, if one person is being targeted, we might as well all be, right, when it comes to small business owners. And I get it, though. I have family members that are small business owners. It is a very cutthroat industry, you could say. You know, you gotta, like, a lot of these families are running their own restaurants while their kids go to school, while they also might be working other part-time jobs. It's complicated, right? So let's do our best and support our local businesses. Go check out Cantina. They did, like I mentioned in the story, they just were robbed of $35,000. One margarita, that's great support for your community. So, with that being said, let's get into ICE. I have 3 stories that are kind of going to break down the context of what's happening on ICE. If you want to tune back next week, I think this is what we're going to start doing on Fridays, just so that I can kind of give you the rundown before the weekend hits. So, Denver flock cameras were used in immigration-related searches, records show. Denver police data from flock license plate cameras has been used on immigration-related searches, even though federal immigration agents do not have direct access to the system. According to the reporting from Colorado Sun, law enforcement agencies across the country accessed information from Denver's flock camera network nearly 1,400 times in 2024 and 2025. So, and these searches were connected to immigration and ICE cases. Denver police removed their data from Flock's national sharing directory on April 8th after concerns raised by city council members. However, Denver still shares flock data with other law enforcement agencies within Colorado. Records show some of these agencies conducted immigration-related searches using Denver's database earlier this year. Flock cameras capture vehicle fingerprints, such as license plate numbers, car models, and distinctive features like scratches or bumper stickers. So, let me give you some context. So, Colorado state law prohibits local law enforcement from sharing personal information or detaining people on behalf of federal immigration authorities, making data sharing practices a continuing topic of legal and community debate. This was reported by the Colorado Sun. Now, this is a really interesting story because the fact of the matter is, we talk a lot about crime in this show, right? And when I'm talking about, like, in a little bit, we're going to be talking about the jogger assaulter that's been attacking people here in Denver. This is what I don't understand. Why is this technology not being used to protect our community instead of exploit it to basically target people? You know, and I think that's a really interesting. That's my perspective. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't that right there is to put it plainly. That's my perspective, right? Yeah, and this is just a really interesting story. I'm gonna keep on it because this is actually a story that has been rolling out in Denver for almost a year, I want to say. But there was an old newspaper that I used to work at. We were still covering this back then. So, but with that being said, let me move on to the next story. So, Colorado immigration lawyers warn leaked ICE memo could lead to illegal home arrests. Immigration lawyers in Colorado are raising concerns after a leaked federal memo suggests immigration agents may be authorized to enter homes without a judge's warrant. The memo, first obtained by the Associated Press in January, states that U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE officials, could force entry into residences to make arrests or carry out deportations. Colorado attorneys say that that practice may violate the Fourth Amendment, which protects against unreasonable searches and seizures. Legal experts note that the administration warrants, which are signed by ICE officials rather than judges, typically do not give permission to enter a private home by force. However, the Department of Homeland Security has stated that such actions can be legal under federal immigration authority. So, as immigration enforcement increases across Colorado, this debate could affect how raids and arrests are carried out, as well as community trust and constitutional rights for our residents. This is reported by the Denver Post initially. I just want to let you know that this is what's happening. I was on the phone with a friend earlier today talking about what's happening in Minnesota, and when it comes to Minnesota being targeted, it is a city in size kind of similar to Denver, you know, and if you're from here, you get it. We are not New York City, we're not Houston, we're not LA. We are a smaller city, and with that being said, one could speculate that Denver could potentially be another target, a next target, right? We do have a very high Hispanic community, and it has also been noted that the cities and counties that have higher ICE activity were actually cities and counties that voted against President Trump. So there's that to keep in mind. But I don't say that in the sense to make you panic, right? I say that because I want to keep you informed on what's happening and be realistic about what could happen. But here with this next story, will give you a little bit more context to what would come next if that is the case. So Denver police chief says officers will intervene if ICE uses excessive force. Denver's police chief says city officials will step in if they believe federal immigration agents are using excessive force during operations in the city. Denver Police Chief Ron Thomas told the Denver Gazette that while the department will not assist with federal immigration enforcement, officers are expected to intervene if they witness what they consider unreasonable or dangerous use of force. Thomas emphasized that Denver police continue to partner with federal agencies on issues like violent crime, human trafficking, and drug investigations, but not on immigration actions. Colorado state law limits how local law enforcement can cooperate with federal immigration authorities, including restrictions on sharing personal information for immigration purposes. So, the comments come as an immigration enforcement activity has increased nationwide and tensions remain high between some local governments and federal officials. So, the policy could affect how local and federal officers interact during operations in Denver and may influence community trust, especially among residents concerned about the public safety and immigration enforcement. This was reported by the Denver Gazette. So basically what this is saying is that while the Denver police may not be directly cooperating with ICE, right, they will hold ICE accountable if they deem that excessive force is being used. Hey, to our live listener on TikTok, how you doing? That's those 3 stories that I have for you on ICE. I'm gonna keep an eye on the news and I'm gonna just compile them so every Friday we can come back and you can stay in the loop on what's happening here within Denver. I know it's really easy when you look up the news, everything just kind of goes to Minneapolis and Minnesota, rightfully so, because that's where the majority of the ICE activity is happening. However, there is still stuff happening in Colorado that I would like to keep you informed about. So, on the aspect of talking about national everything, Colorado Senate passes bill to expand vaccine access to amid federal policy debate. The Colorado Senate has passed a bill aimed at expanding access to vaccines and reducing reliance on federal health guidance. Senate Bill 32 would allow pharmacists to prescribe vaccines independently and would let state health agencies follow immunization guidance from medical organizations, not just a federal advisory committee. Supporters say the move is meant to give local Colorado more control over its public health decisions. This bill will not create new vaccine requirements or change exemption rules. It also builds on recent state laws that keep vaccine coverage and insurance plans, even if federal policies shift. The measure posed the Senate in a 20-12 vote, with all Republicans voting against it. Some opponents said they support vaccines, but want stronger legal options for people who believe they've been harmed. This bill could make it easier for Coloradans to get vaccinated at local pharmacies while also shaping how the state responds to changing federal health policies. The proposal now moves to the Colorado House for consideration. This was reported by the Denver Post originally. So, basically, I think this is a really good story. I think when it comes to vaccines, this conversation's been happening for a long time. Over these past 6 years since COVID, or arguably even before, you know. But I think giving people the choice and the autonomy to do what they want to do within their communities is integral to a free and functioning society. You know, just because it's like the same debate as abortion. You know, if you don't want an abortion, don't get one. You can't force someone else to not get one. Same thing with vaccines. It's that simple, you know. But with that being said, let's move on to our next story. So this is we're going to talk about some local crime here for just a second. So let me just get into it. A Denver woman reports suspicious encounters as police search for jogger attack suspect. A Denver woman says she had an unsettling late-night encounter with a man she believes may be connected to recent attacks on joggers as police continue their search for a suspect. The woman, identified only as Andrea, told CBS she was walking her dog near Washington Park in January and passed by, and a man appeared to follow her and passed by her multiple times. She called her husband because she felt unsafe and later contacted Crime Stoppers after seeing news reports about 2 separate attacks on female joggers within weeks of each other. Denver police say that one attack happened near Platt Park and another near South Grant Street. Both at night. Investigators have released surveillance photos and are asking witnesses to come forward. City council members say the city is working with community groups to increase safety, presence in affected neighborhoods, and encourage residents to report suspicious activity. Residents say the incidents are changing nighttime routines, with some avoiding evening walks. Police encourage anyone with information to contact authorities as the investigation continues. So this was originally reported by CBS. KDVR is also following it. I looked at both of their articles to kind of put this together. I saw the footage and the video, I guess just the photos that have been released, and it's very blurry. It's kind of grainy. You can't really see it too well. But I advise you just Google it, Denver jog attack, and take a look at those photos. You might know that person. You never know. So on to our next, and we have been following the story for about a week. I'm going to keep following it just to kind of keep you informed on what's happening over here. So, teen arrested in connection with fatal shooting of a girl in Denver. This is a very sad story, folks, but let me just share it with you. So, Denver police have arrested an 18-year-old in connection with the fatal shooting of a girl inside a northeast Denver home. According to the Denver Police Department, Jazeer Simmons was taken into custody and faces first-degree murder charges after investigators say a girl was shot in the head inside of her bedroom on the 5,500 block of North Tucson Street. The victim was a minor, and her name has not been released. Officers responded just after 5:30 p.m. Tuesday to what was initially reported as a self-inflicted gunshot. When police arrived, paramedics pronounced the girl dead at the scene. Investigators later found the suspect firearm in a trash can on the property. Court documents state that members of the household gave varying accounts of what happened, and the police continue to review evidence and interviews. So, this case remains under investigation and highlights ongoing concerns around gun violence and safety in the Denver neighborhoods, right? This is written by the Denver Gazette. And this is just a tragic story. My condolences go out to the family. I'm going to do a little more digging and see if we can find a GoFundMe for the victim and their family. I know that money can't really change things like this, but this is America, and you can't even pass for free. It's horrible, but I think the best we can do is support her and her family. So let's talk a little bit about, I guess, economics, you could say. So, Denver tech company Angie's laying off 350 employees, cites AI efficiency. A major Denver-based tech company is cutting hundreds of jobs with this quarter, pointing to artificial intelligence and cost savings as key factors. Angie Inc., which connects customers with home improvement contractors like plumbers and electricians, announced it is laying off about 350 employees nationwide. In a filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the company and the move said the move is meant to streamline operations and take advantage of AI-driven efficiency improvements. The Denver headquarters company estimates the cuts could save between $70 and $80 million annually, while some local employees have already reported losing their jobs. A company spokesperson says only a small portion of Denver area staff are expected to be affected. Angie is one of Denver's most recognized tech companies, and the layoffs highlight how artificial intelligence is beginning to impact jobs even at established local companies. So this was initially reported by 9 News. This is a scary story, folks, to hear that people are being let go and AI is being directly cited. That's scary news, and I think the idea of layoffs is super scary. I don't know if you've never, let me explain to you how it happens. So, a layoff, right? Oh no, we're gonna run out of time. I'll make this quick. So, if you've never been laid off, this is basically how it works. You you get invited to a meeting with HR or whoever, right? And they basically talk about, you go to this meeting and they talk about how they basically can't afford to keep you on, right? The company's not doing great, or someone's made a decision somewhere to cut costs, and you just happen to be a casualty. It is hard, folks. It is like, I guess you could say similar to grief in a way, because like all of a sudden this major part of your life is just gone, you know, and on top of the aspect of money and responsibilities and like your career that you've been working for, it's just like it's just gone, and I really feel for the employees that were laid off for this company. This is a hard story, but let me talk about the weather real quick. So Colorado, right before we go to a break, we're running it just a little bit over, but I'll make it quick. Colorado records lowest snowpack in state history this winter. Colorado is experiencing the lowest snowpack on record as an unseasonably warm and dry winter continues across the state. According to meteorologists, snow levels in the mountains known as snowpack are starting at about 55% of normal for this time of year. Denver has also seen a significantly less snow than average, with just over 13 inches so far this winter compared to a typical 28 inches. That's crazy, folks. While some mountain ski areas have received storms, many trails remain closed due to lack of consistent snowfall. Weather experts say this is the lowest statewide snowpack level recorded since tracking began in the late 1980s. Low snowpack can lead to a higher wildfire risk, lower reservoir levels, and reduced river flow later in the year, which can impact water supplies, agriculture, and outdoor recreation across Colorado. This is a big deal, folks, and snow is basically one of the backbones of the Western Slopes economy, especially when it comes to skiing and resort life, because you can't really ski on not a lot of snow, right? Obviously, and it's just a bummer, and I'm really not sure what we can do to better support our community when it comes to this aspect. I guess you can always shop local. I guess that's the best advice I can give you if you're feeling a little overwhelmed with the stuff that's happening that you can't control. Maybe figure out a cute little company on the Western Slope. Go out, go take some friends up there and go thrifting. It really is that simple. But with that being said, let's just take a quick second, and I will be back with just a little bit more information about events and other stuff that's happening this weekend. All right, folks, we are back, and welcome back to Denver Today, your soon-to-be favorite source for news. And I say that humbly because I think I lost track. This is our 6th episode? 246? Yep. I'm growing as a journalist here in your ear in real time. And I know it's kind of risky to do this, right? But The reason that I chose to just say F it and just go live and evolve and grow and figure out the shows we're live is because I feel like a lot of people are really scared to do that these days. Like everyone just wants the final finished polished product, with the cute little logo or whatever on it. But that's not what we do here. And we'll get there eventually, right? We will get there eventually. But I want you to come with me along the way as we get there and we learn and we grow because that's what it's about, man. So, welcome back to Denver today. I'm your host, Luis Bustos. Special thanks to Inspire Success Coaching and Consulting for sponsoring this broadcast. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and skip this next story, but we will get back to it next week, okay? Um, we're just running out of time, and I have some really cool Valentine's Day stuff I want to talk to you about. But first, let's talk about bakeries. A group of Denver's top pastry chefs gathered this week to answer the delicious question: who makes the city's best croissant? So, the third annual Golden Croissant competition brought a dozen local bakeries to Rebel Bread in Denver, where chefs presented both the classic butter croissant and a unique signature creation to a panel of judges and a hungry crowd. The judges' top honor went to a new bakery called La Croissanterie, whose head pastry chef won for marbled butter croissant filled with coconut cream and white chocolate. Meanwhile, the People's Choice Award went to Elemental Bakery and Coffee House for its creative flavor combinations. Organizers say the event continues to grow each year, reflecting Denver's expanding bakery scene and the collaborative community among local chefs. This was initially reported by the Denver Post. This is a super cool story. Go check out these places, y'all. Denver has an incredible up and coming pastry scene, and like it's crazy. It started with Voodoo Donuts, right, and everything just kind of went on from there. But so let me move on to this little next story. This is a little bit of a sports story. I'm not a sports guy, but I will learn for you, friend. Okay, I'm slowly dipping my toes into sports news, but I gotta be honest with you, I don't understand football. I kind of get soccer. I'm Hispanic, okay. But anyway, so Denver could host a Super Bowl if the NFL meets requirements, or if it meets NFL requirements. Okay, it's a big if, right? So Denver could one day host a Super Bowl, especially with the new Broncos Stadium planned for Burnham Yard. But there are major conditions to the city would have to meet. The biggest obstacle has always been weather. The NFL requires a roof stadium for cold climate cities, which Empower Field does not have. The proposed new stadium would include a retractable roof, removing that barrier. But a roof alone isn't enough. The NFL also requires at least 70,000 seats, around 35,000 parking spaces, and tens of thousands of hotel rooms within about an hour's drive. Denver has a strong hotel numbers, but traffic times and parking plans could still be challenges. The city would also need to agree to temporary event restrictions near the stadium, provide extra law enforcement, and offer certain tax exemptions during Super Bowl week. So, hosting a Super Bowl can bring more than $500 million into a local economy and draw over 100,000 visitors, which could be a major boost for Denver businesses. This could be huge, and I know that there's a lot of contention when it comes to us as taxpayers paying for these big giant sports arenas, and then they're privately owned, and I think that conversation still needs to be had, right? However, you cannot deny that something like the Super Bowl would be huge for our city. It would be absolutely huge. So fingers crossed and rooting for Denver, as I always am. So this is an interesting one for a free event that you want to go to this weekend. It might involve a little bit of driving, but this is super, super cool. So Denver pioneers to host Nordic Ski Meet in Frisco this weekend. The University of Denver ski team is hosting the cross-country portion of its 2026 DU Invitational this weekend in Summit, Colorado. With races open to the public and free to attend. Free. You can go watch some cool skiing for free, right? The Nordic events will take place Saturday and Sunday morning at the Frisco Nordic Center. Saturday features a 10-kilometer classical mass startup race, while Sunday wraps up a 7.5-kilometer freestyle interval start. Collegiate teams from across the Rocky Mountain region, including the University of Colorado and defending national champion Utah, are expected to compete. Event organizers say fans can watch from the start to finish areas, and free parking will be available, though some lots are reserved for teams. The races were moved from Minturn to Frisco due to the low snow conditions in the Vail Valley, and we were kind of talking about this earlier, right? Go support local winter sports. It gives Colorado fans a chance to watch high-level ski competitions at no cost. And, these tickets are expensive for these kind of events. And on top of that, you have to get up to the mountain, but this seems like a really cool way to go see some skiing, and it's free. It also seems like a fun little date if you're one of those couples that, goes hiking and does that kind of thing. We're in Colorado. You know who you are. So, this is a super cool. This next story is from Golden. I'm sure every single person in the city has heard of this because we love dogs. This is a big dog city. Thousands of golden retrievers expected for Goldens in Golden this weekend. This event is also free. Golden, Colorado is preparing for one of its most adorable annual traditions as thousands of golden retrievers and their owners gather for Goldens in Golden this Saturday. The free event celebrates International Golden Retriever Day and runs from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. in downtown Golden along Washington Avenue. Main Street will close to traffic as dog owners from across the country meet under the iconic Golden Arch for group photos, vendor villages, games, and entertainment. Only friendly, leashed, well socialized dogs are allowed. Be honest with yourself as an owner. Be honest with yourself if you're going to bring your dog, okay? Organizers say free off-site parking with dog-friendly shuttles will be available and the event will happen rain, snow, or shine. This is Colorado, people. That's how we do it. Local shops, breweries, and restaurants are also expected to welcome four-legged visitors throughout the weekend. This is a super cool story. So I don't have I have a Chihuahua, y'all, so he would not do well in this environment. But I might go check it out by myself just to go see what's up. Seems super cool. So this is, and I want to remind you though, this is the last weekend to see Camille Pissarro's exhibit at Denver Art Museum. This is the final weekend for Denver residents to see a major international art exhibit featuring Impressionist painter Camille Pissarro. The Honest Eye, Camille Pissarro's Impressionism at the Denver Art Museum is the first large U.S. retrospective of the artist in more than 40 years, and Denver is the only American stop for the show. The exhibit includes more than 100 paintings from museums and private collections around the world, showcasing landscapes, cityscapes, and other works that highlight Pissarro's role in founding the Impressionist movement. Tickets are around $30, and the exhibit closes this weekend. So it's Saturday and Sunday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The tickets are almost sold out. I looked before the show. They're about $30, and if you don't have a, let me just tell you why you should go. Right, a world-class exhibit to you is brought to you here in Denver. You don't have to travel out of state. It's downtown, and the tickets are $30. This is something that people like. This is what you see in like big other museums, like the British National Museum. This is big, so go check it out. It's super cool, and it's like $30. Oh no, we're about to run out of time. I'll make this quick, okay? Denver Zoo offers Valentine's animal adoption gift bundles. Still looking for a Valentine's Day gift? The Denver Zoo is. This sounds like an ad. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. The Denver Zoo Conservation Alliance is offering limited edition animal adoption bundles that let people symbolically adopt a zoo animal for a loved one. The special Valentine's Day package includes options like African lion cubs, two-toed sloths, capybaras, and pikas. All animals that live at the zoo. Each bundle comes with an adoption certificate and greeting card, a photo of the animal, and a proud zoo parent sticker. Buyers can also add a plush toy for an additional cost. Prices start at about $59 before tax and shipping, and orders must be placed by February 8th to drive in time for Valentine's Day. Proceeds help support animal care and conservation efforts at the zoo and worldwide. So this is a really cool way to show some love, you know what I mean, to both your partner and the community. It's a non-traditional gift option, clearly. And it's this one warmed my heart to see it. You know, I think that I remember when I first started my relationship, when we were like living in a little apartment with like other people, and we couldn't have a dog, you know. And I think if you're like, this is just a cute little gift, so just kind of keep an eye out on that. Oh no, so we have time. We have one more minute. Oh my gosh, I'll make this super fast. So this event's gonna be a little bit pricier. It's about $130 for the ticket for the class, but it seems super fun. So Denver Cooking School hosts A World of Taste, Portugal. A Denver Cooking School is inviting food lovers to explore Portuguese cuisine with a hands-on class focused on seafood and global flavors. The class called A World of Taste, Portugal will highlight dishes inspired by Portugal's long coastline, whereas seafood is a staple. Instructors will also feature African, Brazilian, and spice route influences that shape the country's traditional recipes. So like I said, this one does cost about $130. However, though, this is your chance. I'm talking to the guys right now. If you want to prepare a nice fancy dinner for Valentine's Day, go spend that money and go learn and make it a surprise. You know, and then she comes home or they come home or whatever, and you just have this fancy cultural cultural meal, right? To really showcase the flavors. That's romantic, right? Taking the effort to learn, that's romantic right there. But with that being said, there will be a lot more Valentine's Day talk this month. I'm a big old sap. I'm sorry, you're just gonna have to get used to it, friend. But with that being said, I'm gonna tune you back into our music, and I guess I'll see you Wednesday.